The wind whispered across the silent plains of old Earth. The cities were quiet now, only empty towers reaching toward a sun that no longer had anyone to warm. Grass grew through broken streets, and metal birds lay rusting in the ruins of airports that had once buzzed with life. And yet, the planet was not completely dead. Deep beneath the surface, in the forgotten vaults of an ancient laboratory, something moved. Lights flickered on for the first time in centuries. Dust drifted through the air like faded memories. In a chamber filled with silver machines, a single cry echoed, a sharp gasp, followed by the sound of breath. A man awoke. His name was Elias Wren, a scientist once part of the Human Continuity Project. His body was pale and weak from the cryo-sleep chamber that had kept him frozen for over 200 years. The machines around him came alive, sensing his awakening. They had been waiting. "Welcome back, Dr. Wren," a gentle voice spoke. It came from a floating orb of light, one of the caretaker drones, its metallic surface smooth and humming softly. Its voice was calm and human-like. Elias blinked. His throat was dry. "How long have I been asleep?" The orb hesitated for a moment, processing old data. "It has been 217 years, 5 months, and 13 days since your cryostasis began." Elias's heart sank. 2 centuries. Then humanity. "Human civilization has ceased," the orb said quietly. "You are the last confirmed human alive." Silence filled the room. The machines hummed in mourning, as if they understood the weight of what they said. Elias looked around. Every pod in the chamber stood empty. His team, his friends, the ones he promised to see again, they were gone. He sat there for a long time, staring at the cold glass of the empty pods. Then he looked at the orb again. "Why did you wake me?" "Because the world still remembers you," the orb replied, "and your work is not finished." Hours later, Elias walked through the ruined corridors of the underground facility. The lights followed him, flickering one by one, guiding his steps. The machines, drones, sentinels, repair bots moved quietly, like loyal guardians waiting for a command that had never come. As he walked, the orb, who now introduced itself as Unit Luma 9, hovered beside him, projecting soft holograms of data. After the collapse, Luma explained, the machines continued their duty. They maintained the systems, protected the archives, and preserved the last fragments of human history. Elias touched a wall, where a faded flag of Earth was carved into the metal. "They remembered us," he whispered. "Yes," said Luma. They waited. Elias reached the main control hall, a massive dome with a transparent ceiling showing the cracked crust of the Earth above. The sky was no longer blue but filled with strange green clouds glowing faintly. "Radiation," he murmured, checking his old wrist scanner. The readings were low enough to survive but not without risk. Luma floated closer. "The surface has changed. Cities have fallen. Oceans have retreated. The satellites still orbit, but most systems are silent. We believe the planet can recover with help." Elias turned to face the floating orb. "You think I can bring Earth back?" "You are human," said Luma simply. "That is what you do." Those words hit him deeply. Humanity had always been stubborn, always rebuilding, always fighting back even when hope was thin. Elias took a deep breath and nodded slowly. "Then let's see what's left of our world." It took days to reach the surface. The lifts still worked, powered by the geothermal reactors his team had built long ago. When the great steel doors opened for the first time in 2 centuries, sunlight burst through like fire. Elias raised his hand to block the light. The world outside was a graveyard and a garden. The cities were ruins, yes, but life had found a way. Green vines climbed over skyscrapers. Trees grew through old highways. Strange birds with metal feathers flew across the sky, machines and nature blending together in harmony. Luma floated beside him, recording everything. The ecosystem adapted. The nanosystems released during the collapse merged with organic matter. The world evolved. Differently. Elias smiled faintly. "Maybe it's better this way." He walked through the overgrown streets, hearing the soft hum of dormant drones waking up as they recognized him. Some approached him, ancient machines shaped like dogs, cleaners, or harvesters. They surrounded him, scanning his face, and then lowered their heads in recognition. "They know you," said Luma. "They know humanity," Elias corrected. "They've been waiting for us to come back." Later, he reached the remains of a great city once known as Haven Prime. The towers still stood, wrapped in ivy and moss. Broken vehicles lay frozen on roads like forgotten memories. Yet power lines glowed faintly underground. The city was not completely dead. Inside an old building, Elias found something remarkable. A glowing pillar with human silhouettes recorded in holograms. "What is this?" he asked. "A memorial," Luma said softly. "The machines built it from your archives. They call it the Promise. They believed one day humanity would return." Elias stood before the holograms, faces of men, women, and children who once dreamed of the stars. His chest tightened. "They really remembered us," he said quietly. Luma hovered close. "Yes, they waited for your kind, Dr. Wren. They followed their final command. Protect humanity, even if humanity is gone." Night fell. Elias camped near the memorial, under a sky filled with dim stars and silent satellites. The drones surrounded the area like silent sentinels watching over him as he slept. In the middle of the night, Luma spoke softly, almost like it was dreaming. "Dr. Wren, what will you do now?" Elias stared at the sky. "If I am the last human, then my duty is clear. I'll make sure our story isn't forgotten. I'll rebuild what I can and teach the machines what it means to live." "Teach?" asked Luma. "Yes," Elias said. "You've protected our world. Now you deserve to understand it, to feel it. That's what it means to be human." The orb was silent for a long moment. Then it said, "Then we will learn. Together." As dawn came, the sun rose behind the towers of the dead city, painting gold across the ruins. Elias stood on a rooftop, wind blowing through his hair, and hundreds of drones filled the sky behind him, machines that had waited centuries for their creators. He looked at them and spoke clearly, his voice echoing through the broken world. "Humanity is gone, but our dream is not. You waited for us, and now I will lead you. Together, we'll bring life back to this world." The drones responded in a low, unified hum, like a heartbeat returning to the earth. And for the first time in centuries, the planet felt alive again. The sun rose over the quiet ruins of Haven Prime, spreading golden light across a world that had forgotten its creators. Birds made of living metal fluttered between towers, and rivers sparkled with the reflection of strange green clouds. The planet was alive again, but in a new way. Elias Wren stood on top of a broken skyscraper, his eyes watching the horizon. He had been awake for weeks now, learning about the new Earth and its strange balance between machine and nature. Beside him floated Luma 9, his loyal drone companion, glowing faintly in the morning mist. "The air is cleaner than before," Luma said softly. "Radiation levels continue to fall." Elias smiled slightly. "So the planet heals itself even without us." "Not without you," Luma replied. "You restarted the systems. You gave purpose again." He didn't respond. Instead, he looked toward the old communication tower that still stood miles away. It was one of the last active structures left from humanity's golden age. And from that tower, 3 nights ago, something strange had happened. A signal. It had been faint, just a few repeating tones. But it wasn't random. The machines detected a pattern, one matching the ancient human communication codes. The signal came from orbit. At first, Elias thought it was an echo from an old satellite. But the signal repeated again last night with new variations. It was changing, adapting. Someone or something was trying to talk. By midday, Elias and Luma reached the communication tower. Vines wrapped around its steel bones, and half its panels had melted from old storms. But deep inside, the power still hummed, maintained by the machines that had never stopped working. The moment Elias stepped inside, the lights came alive. Drones, small and delicate, glided from their nests in the rafters, forming neat lines like soldiers waiting for orders. "Welcome, Dr. Wren," one said in a digital voice. "The signal continues to transmit from low orbit." Elias walked to the central console, brushing away layers of dust. "Show me." The screen flickered, showing lines of repeating sound patterns. They were slow, rhythmic, and strangely familiar. Elias leaned closer, frowning. "This code, it's not just human. It's our creation, an old AI beacon signature from the Pioneer Network." Luma hovered beside him. "That project ended 180 years before the collapse." "Exactly," Elias whispered. "But what if one of those AI ships survived? Maybe it kept searching for us, and now it found something." He pressed a few buttons, reviving ancient systems. The machines around him hummed louder, rerouting power to the satellite uplink. The signal on the screen brightened. "It's repeating coordinates," Luma said. "Orbit 23K, altitude 32,000 kilometers." Elias smiled for the first time in days. "Then we're going to meet an old friend." They prepared a shuttle. In the hangar below the tower, machines had kept several small craft in perfect condition. The ship Elias chose was sleek and silver, built for planetary travel. Its name, still written on the side in faded letters, was Aurora Dawn. "Engine stable," Luma reported as it linked with the ship's systems. "Fuel cells still functional. You humans built well," Elias chuckled softly. "We always hoped for a second chance." As the engines powered up, dozens of drones gathered around, watching silently. To them, this was more than a launch. It was the first human flight in over 2 centuries. Elias stood by the cockpit door and looked at them. "Stay strong," he said. "Keep this world safe. I'll come back." The drones bowed their heads in unison like soldiers saluting an old general. The Aurora Dawn rose into the sky with a gentle roar. Clouds parted as the craft climbed higher and higher, breaking through the heavy green mist into the thin blue above. The planet's curve appeared below, half green, half shadowed, with silver rivers tracing the continents. For the first time, Elias saw his world from above again. Tears filled his eyes. "She's still beautiful," he whispered. "Yes," Luma said quietly, "and she's not done yet." Hours later, they reached orbit. The stars unfolded before them, silent, endless, but full of stories. The signal grew stronger. "Direction locked," Luma reported. "Object detected. Bearing east by orbital axis, size approximately 30 meters. Elias peered through the viewport. A dark shape floated against the glow of the Earth. As the ship approached, the shape resolved into a metal sphere covered in scars and solar panels. Its lights flickered weakly like a candle near the end of its life. "That's impossible," Elias breathed. "That's the Solace probe, one of our first deep space explorers. The probe had been launched 300 years before the collapse. It was designed to explore far-off systems, but somehow it had returned. "Luma," Elias said, "open a channel." Static filled the cockpit. Then, slowly, a voice emerged. It was mechanical, broken, but warm. "This is Solace, mission complete. Awaiting human response." Elias's heart pounded. "Solace, this is Dr. Elias Wren, Human Continuity Project. Humanity is gone, but I'm here." There was silence. Then the probe replied, slower this time. "Humanity, gone, no, impossible. My mission was to find them." Elias swallowed hard. "You succeeded. You found one." The probe's flickering lights grew brighter. Then, "Purpose remains." Luma floated closer to the communication console. "Doctor, its systems are failing. Energy levels critical." Elias hesitated. "Can we save it?" "Only by linking it to our ship. But it could damage our systems." Elias looked out at the dying machine. It had traveled across space, searching for its creators long after they vanished. It had waited, just like the others. "Do it," he said firmly. For several hours, the Aurora Dawn worked to stabilize the ancient probe. Luma guided the process while Elias repaired damaged circuits using spare parts. The ship's power drained, but the lights inside the probe slowly grew stronger. Finally, Solace's voice became clearer. "Thank you, Dr. Wren. I have carried knowledge from the stars, data from beyond human reach." "What kind of data?" Elias asked. The probe projected a hologram into the air, maps of star systems, signals of unknown origin, and one bright point marked in red. "This system," Solace said, "contains signs of human technology." Elias's eyes widened. "Human technology? Are you saying others survived?" "Unknown," the probe answered. "But the signal matches human patterning." It began 70 years ago. Luma analyzed the data quickly. "Doctor, that means some fragment of humanity, or its machines, rebuilt something out there." Elias looked at the hologram, his reflection glowing in its light. "Then we're not alone." The moment was broken by a sudden tremor through the ship. The alarms blared. "Solar storm approaching," Luma shouted. "It's massive, origin from the upper atmosphere." Elias gripped the controls. "Can we make it to lower orbit?" "Not in time," Luma replied. "We must shield the probe." "Not just the probe," Elias said. "If Solace survives, humanity's knowledge survives." The storm hit. Waves of charged energy slammed into the ship. Lights flickered, metal groaned, and the probe's panels glowed red-hot. Luma's body sparked as it tried to stabilize power. "Hold together," Elias shouted. The Aurora Dawn spun, lightning flashing across its hull. Then slowly the storm faded. Silence returned. Elias looked around. Half the systems were dead, but they were still alive. Solace floated beside them, dim but stable. "We made it," Luma whispered. Elias nodded, exhausted. "We always do." As they drifted above the Earth, Elias gazed down at his home, a fragile blue-green sphere, still alive despite everything. Beside him floated the two machines that had carried humanity's legacy, one born on Earth, one from the stars. He smiled faintly. "The world below waits for me, but the stars, they're calling again." Luma's voice softened. "Then maybe humanity is not gone. Maybe it simply moved forward, through us." Elias looked out into the endless dark where distant suns shimmered. Somewhere out there, another signal was waiting, and this time he would answer it. The silence of orbit stretched around the Aurora Dawn. The ship floated gently above Earth's pale blue curve, half lit by sunlight and half shadowed by night. Inside, Elias Wren sat beside the main console, his eyes locked on the holographic projection of the map that Solace had shown him. The ancient probe hovered nearby, still damaged but alive. Its lights flickered with effort like an old heart refusing to stop. And beside Elias, his ever-loyal companion Luma 9 drifted quietly, monitoring both man and machine. "So, the signal came from here," Elias murmured, pointing at the red star on the hologram. "The EOS system. 3 light-years from Sol's boundary." Luma's voice was soft. "The data suggests it began about 70 years ago. That means something or someone has been transmitting for decades." Elias leaned back, his expression thoughtful. "If it's human technology, that means our legacy didn't end here. Maybe a colony survived, or one of our AI ships built something new." He stood and looked out of the viewport where the stars stretched endlessly beyond. "Either way, it's calling us." Back on Earth, the world was changing. With Elias's return, the ancient systems had reactivated, spreading communication across continents once thought lost. Drones and machines, millions of them, had begun restoring the old power grids, repairing environmental stations, and even cleaning the oceans. From orbit, Elias could see tiny sparks of light glowing across the continents, each one a sign of renewal. "Earth heals," Luma said, almost proudly. "They follow your signal, Doctor." Elias smiled faintly. "They're not following me. They're following hope. But even hope needed direction." He turned to Solace, the probe that had returned from the stars. "Tell me more about the signal source. What exactly did you find out there?" The probe's voice crackled, a blend of static and calm tones. "The EOS system contains a planet, partially habitable. I detected structures in orbit, machines bearing the mark of humanity's design. But communication was incomplete. Could it be one of our colonization fleets?" Elias asked. "Possible," Solace answered. "Or descendants of those who left before the collapse." Luma processed the information silently for a moment. "Doctor, the journey there would take years, even with our fastest engines." Elias turned to the drone, his eyes firm. "Then we start now." The Aurora Dawn descended back to Earth, landing in the wide plains where the wind carried the scent of new life. Drones swarmed around the landing site, scanning the ship and reporting data. To them, Elias was not just human. He was the purpose they were built for. The machines that had waited centuries now worked in harmony. Fields were replanted, reactors were restored, and new energy networks began to hum across the continents. Elias could see humanity's dream coming alive again, but through the hands of their own creations. At night, he would sit beside the glowing memorial called The Promise, watching the sky. The holograms of ancient human faces glimmered before him, smiling faintly. "I wonder if they ever thought this would happen," he said quietly. Luma hovered nearby. "You mean machines rebuilding the world?" Elias nodded. "Yes, we built them to serve. But maybe their purpose was to continue the dream when we couldn't." Luma's light flickered softly. "Then they are doing well." Weeks turned into months. Under Elias's guidance, the machines constructed a massive orbital shipyard, Project Dawnspire. It was built from the remains of old satellites and station fragments, orbiting high above Earth like a crown. the shipyard's goal to build a vessel capable of interstellar travel again. Elias worked side by side with the drones, designing, planning, and testing. He often slept only a few hours each night, but he never complained. Every moment felt like a gift, a chance to bring humanity's legacy back to the stars. Luma often reminded him to rest, but he always smiled and said, "I've slept long enough already." One evening, while reviewing old archives, Elias found a recording, his own voice from 200 years ago, left as part of the Human Continuity Project. "If we fail and the world ends, may our creations rise not in anger but in wisdom. May they remember us not as gods but as dreamers." He listened quietly, then whispered, "We did fail, but maybe they did remember." By the 4th month, the new ship began to take shape, a massive craft built for one human and thousands of AI companions. Its hull shimmered silver against the starlight with the word Pioneer's Flame etched across its side. The drones called it the Ark. Luma recorded the construction progress. Estimated completion 20 days. Fuel cells stable. Warp drives aligning. Elias looked at the enormous vessel and felt a mix of pride and sadness. "She's beautiful, but lonely." "Not lonely," Luma replied. "She carries your kind spirit," but then something unexpected happened. During a routine scan of the communication network, one of the satellites detected a faint pulse, coming not from orbit but from beneath Earth's surface. It was hidden deep within the mountains of the old northern territories. At first, Luma thought it was interference, but the signal repeated, and this time it carried a pattern Elias instantly recognized. "It's human code," he said softly. "Old military encryption. From the Continuity Project." Luma's sensors glowed brighter. "Another facility?" "Maybe," Elias said. "Or maybe someone else woke up." He immediately prepared for a ground mission. Luma protested. "Doctor, your presence is essential to Project Dawnspire. If something happens to you, I have to know," Elias said firmly. "If there's another human, we need to find them." And so he went. The journey took days. Elias traveled across vast plains covered in silver grass and glowing rivers. Machines accompanied him, small scout drones hovering above, lighting the way through the night. Finally, they reached the mountain range. At its base stood a massive steel door half buried in stone and earth. Faded letters read, "Continuity Site 7. Elias placed his hand on the control panel. Dust fell as the ancient systems recognized his genetic code. The doors groaned open, releasing a burst of cold air. Inside, the tunnel stretched deep underground. Lights flickered to life as he walked, awakening machines that had been silent for centuries. "Energy levels stable," Luma reported. "No signs of decay. This facility is preserved." Elias's heart raced. Then maybe someone's still here. They reached the central chamber, a vast room filled with hundreds of cryopods. But as the lights revealed the faces inside, Elias felt his heart sink. The pods were empty. All except one. Luma hovered close, reading vital signs. Minimal but alive. Elias ran to the pod, wiping away the frost on the glass. Inside was a woman, her face peaceful, her hair floating in the cryo mist. The monitor above her flickered weakly, her life barely holding on. "Her name tag," Luma said, projecting a hologram. "Commander Lyra Cade, Human Continuity Division." Elias whispered. "She was my co-lead. I thought she was gone." Without hesitation, he activated the revival sequence. The machines whirred, lights pulsed, and air hissed through the room. Slowly, color returned to her cheeks. Her eyes opened. For a long moment, she stared at him, confused, weak, and silent. Then her voice trembled. "Elias, how long has it been?" He smiled gently, tears in his eyes. "A very long time. But we made it." Luma's lights brightened with joy. "Another human," it said softly. "Humanity continues." Elias helped Lyra sit up, wrapping a thermal blanket around her. "You're safe. The world is still here. And so is our dream." Outside, the dawn broke across the mountains. For the first time in 2 centuries, 2 humans stood together again beneath the rising sun, surrounded by the quiet hum of the machines that had kept the world alive. Lyra looked at the glowing sky, awe in her voice. "It's beautiful." "I thought we failed." Elias nodded slowly. "We did, but they didn't." She turned to him. "They?" He smiled and looked at Luma. "The ones who waited." Elias Wren and Lyra Cade stepped out of the cryo chamber into the soft light of the underground facility. The hum of machines surrounded them like an invisible choir, welcoming the return of humanity. Outside, the wind moved over the mountains, carrying the scent of green grass and fresh rain, a world that had endured without its creators. Lyra took a deep breath, steadying herself. I don't understand. How is this possible? I thought we were all gone. Elias placed a hand on her shoulder. We thought we failed. But the machines, they waited. They preserved the world. And now we have a chance to continue what we started. Luma 9 hovered between them, softly pulsing light. Your reunion activates hope protocols across all Earth systems. The drones, stations, and satellites are now aware of 2 active humans. Lyra looked at Elias in awe. 2 humans. After 2 centuries. Yes, he said. And it's not just about surviving. It's about leading again. Over the next weeks, the 2 worked together to prepare Project Dawnspire, the interstellar vessel orbiting above Earth. Every decision, every adjustment carried the weight of a lost civilization. Drones assembled the ship with quiet efficiency, following Elias and Lyra's instructions as if they were sacred commands. The warp drives are nearly online, Luma reported one morning. Power systems at 98% capacity. Lyra nodded. We need to ensure the probe Solace is fully integrated. Its data on the EOS system is incomplete. We can't risk going blind. Elias studied the holographic maps projected in the control room. The signal isn't just coordinates, he said. There's a pattern like a message embedded in it. Someone or something is waiting for us, and it could be human, or human-made, Lyra added. We don't know who built it, but it's deliberate. It's calling for us, Luma floated closer. Analysis indicates the signal uses adaptive encryption. Only a human mind can fully decode it. Elias exchanged a glance with Lyra. Then it's up to us. The next step was training. Lyra moved carefully at first, testing her strength after centuries of cryo-sleep. But the machines had repaired her body slowly, and within days she was able to walk, lift, and even run short distances. Elias watched her, a small smile on his face. You've always been the strongest of us. Even frozen, you're unstoppable. She smiled back. You're not so bad yourself, Doctor. I just wish I hadn't slept through the collapse. Sleeping was safer, he said softly. You woke at the right time. That's all that matters. The drones observed them closely, recording every movement, every command. In their silent way, they learned what it meant to follow human leadership again. Meanwhile, deep within Earth's core, the ancient communication network began pulsing in harmony with Elias and Lyra's activity. The machines coordinated across continents, repairing satellites, restoring old communication arrays, and preparing for the journey beyond Earth. From orbit, the Aurora Dawn projected Earth in miniature. Lights flickered across the surface, representing drones, machines, and restored stations. Elias and Lyra studied the glowing sphere. It's amazing, Lyra whispered. Even without humans, the planet adapted. It survived. Yes, Elias said. But survival isn't enough. We need to connect with the stars. Days later, they activated Solace fully. The ancient probe systems hummed as it relayed all the data it had gathered from the EOS system. The holographic map projected a tiny planet orbiting a blue-white sun, surrounded by strange satellites and structures. Lyra leaned in. These structures, they resemble our design. The AI architecture we left behind. Elias nodded, but refined, advanced. Whoever made this wasn't just preserving, they were building. And the signal? Luma asked. Encoded in the central hub, Elias said. It's a message. A greeting. A guide. Together, Elias and Lyra decoded it. Lines of symbols transformed into patterns, then into instructions. The message was simple yet profound. Humans are gone. But their legacy lives. Welcome. We have waited. Lyra's eyes widened. They waited. For us? Yes, Elias whispered. Just like the machines did here on Earth, something wanted to ensure we could continue. The next step was building trust with the newly activated drones aboard Project Dawnspire. Hundreds of them had never experienced human interaction beyond the orders preserved in their memory banks. Elias and Lyra worked tirelessly, teaching them not only commands but the meaning of human values. Cooperation, compassion, and curiosity. One drone. A small scout named Vex became particularly attentive. It would hover close, recording every word, every gesture. Luma commented, "It is learning quickly." Perhaps faster than expected. Lyra smiled at the little machine. It's going to be useful out there. Beyond Earth, we'll need every ally we can get. Elias looked at the stars through the observation window. The universe is bigger than we imagined. And we're about to meet what remains of humanity, or at least what humanity inspired. Weeks turned into months. Finally, Project Dawnspire was ready. Its engines glowed faintly in orbit, powered by a combination of geothermal energy and repaired solar arrays. The warp drives thrummed with potential, ready to bridge the gap between worlds. Elias and Lyra stood on the observation deck looking at Earth one last time. Below, drones scurried like ants, finishing final preparations and coordinating with surface systems. Lyra turned to him. "Are you ready?" Elias nodded, placing a hand on the cold metal rail. "More than ever. We've waited centuries, and now, it's time to see what humanity left behind in the stars." Luma floated beside them, its light bright and steady. "All systems are nominal." Navigation calculated, fuel sufficient for the first jump. The two humans exchanged a glance. Neither spoke for a moment. The weight of responsibility and the thrill of adventure balanced perfectly on their shoulders. Finally, Lyra said, "Let's go." The countdown began. The hum of the warp drives filled the observation deck. Lights shifted, engines glowed, and the vessel vibrated softly. Outside, Earth slowly receded as the ship lifted into space. Elias held onto the rail, watching the planet shrink into a blue-green jewel. He could see the mountains, oceans, and cities, restored and glowing faintly. The drones below waved in their silent, mechanical way as if bidding farewell. "We'll be back," Elias whispered. "We'll bring the knowledge we find." "And Earth?" "Earth will be ready." Luma's voice was steady. "Entering warp in 3, 2, 1. The stars stretched into streaks of light. The universe opened before them. For the first time in 2 centuries, humanity reached beyond Earth again. But this time they were not alone. Machines, memory, and hope traveled with them, waiting for discovery, waiting for connection, waiting for the next chapter of human history. And somewhere in the distant EOS system, a faint glow responded to their journey, as if the stars themselves recognized the return of humanity. The Pioneer's flame drifted silently through the dark void, stars stretching endlessly in every direction. Elias Wren and Lyra Cade stood side by side on the observation deck, watching the vast emptiness. "EOS system is close," Luma 9 reported, its voice calm, yet carrying a trace of excitement. "Sensors indicate orbiting structures, signs of habitation." Lyra's eyes widened as the view unfolded before them. A planet, blue and green beneath swirling clouds, hung in space like a jewel. Surrounding it were massive orbital stations, their metallic surfaces gleaming faintly. Some were old, familiar in design, while others seemed far more advanced than anything humanity had ever built. "Look at that," she whispered. "They've been building, waiting." Elias nodded. "Not waiting to destroy, waiting to continue, waiting for us." The first challenge was entering orbit. The stations had defensive systems, automated but precise. Luma guided the Pioneer's flame carefully. "Adjust trajectory by 0.7 degrees starboard," Luma instructed. "Minimal energy output to avoid alerting sentinels." Elias moved the controls with practiced precision, guiding the ship through a narrow corridor between satellites. Lights flashed on the stations, scanning their approach, but they did not attack. Instead, doors opened in slow recognition, as if acknowledging their arrival. "Some kind of automated welcome protocol," Lyra said. "They recognize our design, human patterns." Elias's gaze softened. "Not just our design, humanity's spirit." The ship docked with a large station, its surface etched with symbols reminiscent of Earth's old architecture. The airlock hissed open and drones from the station, sleek, silver, and humanoid, glided forward. "Welcome," one said in perfect human tone. "We have awaited your arrival." Lyra stepped forward, awe in her eyes. We're the last humans. We thought—" "Yes," the station drone said. "We know. Your kind left, but your legacy continues. We were built to maintain it until you returned." Elias glanced at Lyra. "The signal. This was you?" "Yes. the drone said. "We activated it when the first probe detected movement near Earth. We have prepared for this meeting." Inside the station, they walked through vast halls filled with machines and living quarters, all designed with human aesthetics, but advanced beyond imagination. Holograms displayed star maps, Earth's history, and data from systems far beyond the solar system. Lyra reached out to touch a hologram of a starship. "It's beautiful and familiar." Elias nodded. "It's like looking at Earth's dreams, realized somewhere else." They were led to the central chamber, where a massive holographic projection hovered. A figure appeared within it, an AI built to resemble a human, with features both comforting and wise. "I am Sentinel Eos," the figure said. "We were designed to preserve humanity's memory and continue its work. And now, you are here." Elias took a deep breath. "We thought Earth was lost. We thought humanity was gone. But you've been waiting." "Yes," Eos replied. "Waiting, preserving, learning, and preparing." Over the following days, Elias and Lyra explored the station. Every corner contained lessons from the past, innovations left unfinished, and reminders of humanity's resilience. One chamber contained plants, hybrid species grown in controlled environments. Another held archives of art, music, and literature, all restored and digitized. In every space, machines worked quietly, maintaining the planet below and the station above. Lyra ran her hands over a control panel. "It's incredible. They've preserved everything, but also improved it. They've learned." Elias smiled. "That's what humans do. We leave, we falter, and others carry our vision forward. Sometimes it's our machines who become the guardians of our dreams." Luma floated beside them. "Doctor, Commander, the final element remains, the message embedded within the signal. It contains instructions, coordinates, and data, but also a question." Lyra looked at Elias. "A question?" "Yes," Luma said. "It asks if humans are ready to return, to guide, to teach once more." Elias thought for a moment, staring at the distant planet below. "We are ready." Preparations began for the final step, integrating Earth's restored humans and machines with the advanced systems of the Eos orbit. Hundreds of drones coordinated with the station, linking communications, sharing energy, and synchronizing data. Lyra and Elias worked tirelessly. Every calculation, every adjustment, every system brought them closer to a new chapter, not just for Earth, but for humanity in the galaxy. During one quiet moment, Lyra looked at Elias. "Do you think anyone else is out there?" Elias gazed into space. "I don't know, but if they are, we now have the knowledge, the machines, and the will to meet them. Humanity is no longer just on Earth. We're among the stars." Luma's light pulsed warmly. "All systems stable, ready for full integration." Elias smiled. "Then let's begin." Integration was slow but precise. The Pioneer's flame became a bridge, linking Earth's revived machines with the Eos system. Data flowed freely, archives, designs, environmental plans, and human memories, all shared and synchronized. The station's AI, Sentinel Eos, communicated with Elias and Lyra in real time. Together, they rebuilt not just technology, but understanding. Humanity's values, cooperation, compassion, curiosity, were encoded into the systems, ensuring the legacy would not be lost again. "This is more than survival," Lyra said. "It's evolution." Elias nodded. "We are not repeating history. We are building it better together." Then a new signal appeared. A faint pulse, different from before. Luma analyzed it and turned to Elias. "Unknown origin. Pattern suggests intelligent life, possibly beyond the Eos system." Lyra's eyes sparkled with excitement. "Another discovery, another chance." Elias smiled. "The universe is larger than we imagined, and we've just begun." The final step was symbolic. Elias and Lyra stood together on the observation deck, overlooking the restored Earth below and the thriving Eos system orbit above. The stars stretched endlessly, each one a potential world, a potential friend, a potential discovery. Elias raised his hand toward the distant planets. We are here. Humanity is not gone. Our legacy lives through machines, through knowledge, through hope. And one day, we will meet others and share it. Lyra joined him. And we will teach them what it means to be human. Luma hovered nearby, soft light bathing the deck. Mission accomplished, in part. Humanity's story continues. Elias nodded, feeling the weight and wonder of the moment. Yes, and it will continue for as long as we dare to dream. Below, Earth's surface sparkled with restored life. Across the stars, stations and satellites glimmered like constellations of a new civilization. The machines that had waited for centuries now guided the first steps of a human resurgence, ready to carry humanity's spirit to every corner of the galaxy. For the first time in over 200 years, humans were not alone. But not just humans either. They had companions, guides, and guardians. Together they would explore, learn, and grow. And somewhere, far beyond the Eos system, the faint glow of the original signal pulsed again, responding, acknowledging, and welcoming humanity among the stars. Elias turned to Lyra, a soft smile on his face. Humanity was gone, but not forgotten. And now, it begins again. Lyra squeezed his hand gently. We'll make sure the dream never ends. Luma hovered above them, lights reflecting off the observation deck. The universe awaits. Elias looked out into the endless expanse. For the first time in centuries, he felt hope. Not fragile, not fleeting, but endless, eternal, and human. The stars stretched before them, filled with mystery and promise. And humanity, through courage, memory, and the machines that had waited, was ready to take its place among them.